What's up, guys? This is Ty Zen. Welcome to the cryptocurrency.market channel. I got my buddy Eric with me. Say hello, Eric.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, guys. We are broadcasting from District 2 in the beautiful city of Ho Chi Minh City, located in southern Vietnam in Southeast Asia. Okay? And guys, just yesterday and today, there's been a bunch of stupid things that happened in crypto land, you know, and Eric and I wanted to share with you guys some stupid nonsense that's happening that you guys got to be aware of, okay? And we were not going to make a video about it, but this announcement from the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York, you know, they had a press release here in their news on their website. This is the official government website, okay, at justice.gov or justice.gov. So this is from the U.S. government, you know, and they said for immediate release, Friday, November 29th, 2019, Manhattan U.S. Attorney announces arrest of United States citizen for assisting North Korea in evading sanctions, and the name of the individual is Virgil Griffith. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole news announcement or the press release from the Department of Justice in America. Okay, so this guy is being charged for helping North Korea. Okay, and let me just show you guys here, because you guys know I'm not like the best with video editing and stuff. So here's the picture, guys. Okay, here's the picture of the guy at the you can see it right here, where he's at the blockchain conference in North Korea. Okay, and he's got this big old slide up that says how I evaded sanctions and how you can too, using Ethereum to evade sanctions in 2019. So the guy's name is Virgil Griffith. Okay, now there's a bunch of people in crypto land that's out to support him. You know, I don't know what percentage of the crypto community is supporting him, right? But I can tell you this. Do you support what he's doing?
No, I think it's dumb.
Right, I don't support what he's doing. Like, I think that's like the stupidest shit ever, man. Like that to me is like level retard 10,000.
The only place where I can think of to be fair to him,
yeah,
is to suggest that he's just using some form of a sensationalized title,
yeah,
to sell what his talk is at the conference, so people show up, so that he gets more attention.
Well, he got attention, all right.
But what he actually showed in the slides, I have no idea.
Okay.
But given the subject matter,
yeah,
it's still pretty. It's kind of a bonehead move.
Yeah. Let me tell you guys something, okay? Many of you guys know, okay? Many of you guys know that I came to America as a Vietnamese refugee, grew up in the ghettos, the black neighborhoods, hung out with the wrong people, ended up in federal prison for nearly 14 years for drugs in America, okay? So when it comes to the Justice Department, right, I'm one of the few human beings on the planet who went to a criminal trial. Now, notice what I said there, a criminal trial. I didn't say like a plea bargain or anything like that. I'm talking a full-blown criminal trial, okay, in America, and then went to prison for nearly 14 years and come out and live to talk about it, okay? Because you don't go to a federal criminal trial in America because they will hammer your ass and make sure you never come out. And I'm one of the few people that went in there, lost my case, went through trial, went through all the appellate courts, you know, and all the way to the Supreme Court, and lost at every stage, and had to do all my time and come out. So if there's anybody that understands and has very good familiarity with the law in America, and especially with the Justice Department in America, it's yours truly, right here. You're looking at him right here, Ty Zen, okay? And let me tell you guys something, okay? There's a lot of things you can mess with, okay? Let me tell you something. The federal government loves to arrest people for drugs. Like, you know, if you look at the statistics, they say like 70% of the, you know, like 60-something, 70% of the federal prisoners are in there for drugs. That's not a real statistic. The real statistic is about probably 95, 97, 98% of the people are in there for drugs. Okay? Because what they do is they count that robbery or that car theft or that kidnapping or that gun charge, right? as a non-drug. But what they don't realize was that, hey, that gun that the guy was being arrested for was doing a commission of a drug crime, or doing a drug robbery, or that bank robbery was to get money to go buy drugs, or it's related to drugs. Okay, so most of the time, if you're a blue-collar prisoner in the federal prison system, it's almost 99% chance that it's related to drugs. Okay, it's drugs or something related to drugs. Okay, only the tax people and the Native Americans that are in there for a manslaughter, because they get drunk and go shoot people and kill people, or stab people, or run into car crashes and kill people for manslaughter.
White-collar crimes.
Yeah, the Native American crimes, the white-collar tax crimes and embezzlement crimes, and the military sexual crimes. Right. Pretty much, if you got to guess, like, hey, what's this military guy in here for? It's usually related to some type of sexual crime. Okay, so outside of that, pretty much all the blue-collar prisoners in the federal prison system in America is with drugs, okay? So that lets you know that the American federal court systems do not like to prosecute other cases besides drugs. I mean, how do you know that? Because the majority of the people that are in federal prison are for drugs. There's almost 200,000 federal prisoners in, different levels of prison, and most of them are in there for drugs. So the fact that they go after someone for sanctions, like for teaching the North Koreans about how to evade the U.S. sanctions, you know that they're going way out of their way. Like they're really, really like
they're pissed off.
Like they got to be upset or really pissed off, or you're doing something that's so stupid against America.
They got to make an example of you.
Yeah, that they cannot let that slide, because they don't make money off of that. The reason why they like to arrest federal prisoners, that like to arrest drug crimes and charge people with drug crimes, is because they have the ability to seize your personal civil property. It's called civil forfeiture, and that's the only crime that they can seize your property. Your business, your money, your bank accounts, your house, your cars, your boats, your helicopters, your planes, is drug crimes. So any other crimes, they don't like to arrest you in America because they don't financially benefit from it. So the fact that they go out of their way to go after a cryptocurrency engineer or a blockchain engineer or an Ethereum blockchain engineer for, showing the North Korean government, how to evade U.S. sanctions, you realize that that's not like a, what do you call that? I do not believe that that's a publicity stunt, or that's a marketing stunt. Okay, I believe that the guys in the New York district office, the Southern District, they're very popular. They're well known for taking down the crime families, the hedge funds that are breaking the law in America. So this is not like your average everyday what do you call that? Your average everyday prosecutor. Like this prosecution office in America has went after big criminal cases, right? So they're not going to spend their time to go after a petty case, to go after a petty blockchain engineer for nothing.
What you're saying is they have a case.
Yeah, they are not going to look stupid.
They're not just making something up, or acting carelessly without having a solid case.
And let me tell you something about the federal court system, because I was in the system for nearly 14 years, okay? You can believe it when somebody says, hey man, I didn't commit that drug crime. You can believe that. Like, for example, they charged me, I got caught with 65 grams of coke, right? And they charged me with 6.5 kilos of coke. So if you say that, hey Ty, did you really have 6.5 kilos of cocaine? No, the answer is no. How the hell, cocaine at that time was nearly $20,000 a kilo. Where in the world would I get the money to have something like that? You see what I'm saying? So there's no way that I could have had that much drugs. And man, you can run all the drugs in my neighborhood and there wouldn't be that much drugs, because everybody's fucking broke as shit, right? So I can sit there and say, hey man, I did not have the drugs that they claim that I have. Did I break the law? Yes, I did. But did I have the drugs that they claim that I have? No, I didn't. Okay? So if somebody tells you that they were not guilty, or they were not sentenced correctly, or charged correctly, or indicted correctly for their drug crime, you can almost believe that. Hey man, there's a really good chance that he's probably telling the truth. However, outside of that, outside of drug crimes, any other crime, it's pretty much the reality. So that military prisoner got charged for a sex crime, or that Native American got charged for manslaughter, or that businessman got charged for tax evasion or embezzlement. More than likely, that is true. It's very rare that it's not true. It's only the drug crimes that they lie about, but most of the other crimes, it's fairly true. So the fact that they're indicting this guy for, helping North Korea evade U.S. sanctions, I'm willing to bet that whatever evidence that they have now. I'm not saying he's guilty, okay? I just want to make that clear to you guys, okay? Because I've been charged with things that I didn't do before by the Justice Department. So I'm not going to go out there and accuse somebody of being guilty of something. I don't know.
We don't have no evidence to have an opinion about the facts that we don't know all of.
The only evidence that I have is that slide where it's a picture of him at the blockchain conference the first blockchain conference in North Korea, where there's a sign where he's talking about how to use Ethereum to evade U.S. sanctions. Okay,
and how he did it in the past.
Yeah, exactly. Somehow. And this is the reason why I want to make this video to you guys. Is this, guys? Because I want to share something that happened to me and Eric yesterday at the Saigon Bitcoin meetup. Here they had their 5-year anniversary meetup, and there was a few Bitcoin maximalists, guys. These guys, I call them retards because these guys have no idea about living in a real world, like in reality. They live in like fantasy land somewhere, where one of them even said that, there's never been a Bitcoin fork. And I'm like, okay, so Bitcoin forked into Bitcoin Core and Bitcoin Cash, and then Bitcoin Cash forked into Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV. So you're telling me that none of this ever happened? And he goes, no, it never happened.
No, the belief was so hard in Bitcoin that he said, no, all those were projects that stemmed from Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And they broke off and started their own project, but the original Bitcoin never changed.
Yeah.
And so, we got fork deniers now.
Yeah, like if somebody went and forked the GitHub and started their own coin and called it Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin SV, like I can understand if he said that, but the Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, and Bitcoin Core all have the same Genesis block, and they all go back and they all share the same blocks. All the data in the blocks are the same up to the point that they forked. And this guy is sitting here saying, "Oh, it never happened." It was so far-fetched. This guy was living in such a fantasy land that I had to ask him, man, what planet are you living on? Like, what dimension are you living on to sit there and look me straight in the eyes and tell me that there's never been a Bitcoin fork? Okay, so that's one incident, guys, yesterday. And then today, I was not going to make a video about the guys living in fantasy, the Bitcoin Core maximalists, idiots that are living in fantasy land, right? Until today, I woke up and Eric and I saw the news release about Virgil Griffith from the Ethereum Foundation being arrested or being indicted, for helping North Korea evade U.S. sanctions. Okay, we have this situation, guys, where some of these people, what did you call them, in denial?
Living in denial. Some people just they're really intelligent human beings, mm-hmm. and somehow they've chosen to believe and follow and pursue a perspective beyond logic.
Yeah. You know what? I think I'll share this story with you guys. Okay. When I went to federal prison for drugs, there was a young teenager, white kid, right? Let's just call him Neck, because he was about 6'3", 6'5", something like that. He was really tall, and he had this huge neck. Like the neck came from like his ears all the way down to his shoulders. Like, so if you took a picture of just his collarbone up to the top of his head, you would swear that this dude had a huge, massive neck. But then if you look at his whole body, he weighed about 110 pounds, probably about 55 kilograms, As one of the tallest human beings on the planet, skinny as hell, ribs showing everywhere, but then he's got this huge neck on top of that body, so everybody just called him Neck.
Cobra from the side.
Yeah. Then when he turns to the side, it's like his neck was all flat, So anyways, this guy Neck, he had a 2-year prison sentence, right? So out of 2 years, I think you have to do like somewhere around 20 months, 22 months, somewhere around there. Okay, you have to do 85 to 88% of your prison time. Okay, so he goes in there and he arrives at the prison that I was at. Okay, and then every day he's walking around. Oh, he had a really deep voice too, so it was really funny talking to this guy. Right? He's like, man, it's messed up, man. The government is locking me up for marijuana, man. This is not illegal, man. Marijuana is not a drug, man. It's an herb that grows naturally in the world, man. Right? So he's telling me all this, right? And I'm like, dude, you went to court and everything. They found you guilty, and
you mentioned it was a long trial as well. So he already did several months, maybe 6 months in jail before, which was counted as part of his sentence before he actually made it to prison. So
so he's already been locked up for like 7-8 months already, and now he arrives at the federal prison, right?
So that means how much time does he have left?
That means that he has about probably 12, 13, 14 months left. So somewhere around there. And so when he arrived, the way that the prison systems work in America is that when you're down to like 1 year, what they do is that if it's not a very violent crime, it's it's a light crime, usually crimes that have less than a 5-year sentence, they start processing you and putting you what's called a camp, like a prison camp. And that prison camp doesn't have walls. It doesn't even have a fence.
They're trying to prepare you for leaving.
Yeah, because the way that the prison system works in America is they slowly integrate you back into society. So they take you out of a place that has a wall, it has, guard towers and gun towers and shit like that. And then they put you in another prison where there's no fence, there's no walls. They're training you to practice like being in the same place and not running away.
Well, the chances of you trying to run away or escape or do something when you've got so little time left on your sentence is like really silly that nobody does it.
Yeah, and then nobody's stupid enough to try to escape the prison when you only have like 12 months left, So he got there, and all he had to do was stay there at the camp, at the prison camp for like maybe 2-3 months. They're going to do his paperwork, and then they send him to the next lower level of security, which is called a halfway house, which is a house in his neighborhood that's owned by the government. He goes and lives there for a few months, and then they finally let him go back to his own home. So it's a very simple process. Within just less than a year, he can be a free man. This guy, Neck, goes to the prison camp, and he's like, man, screw this, man. The marijuana I had is not a drug, man. I didn't break no laws. And guess what he did? He walked off the prison camp. Like, I wouldn't say he ran away. I'm saying he just walked off, right? So that counts as an escape from a prison. So guess what the penalty is, the punishment is for when you escape from a federal prison in America? Another 5 years.
Another 5 years.
Yeah. So this idiot, right, who refuses to live in reality and was living in denial, he goes and he walks off the prison camp, right? He's in just a few more months and he would be home and free. He walks off the prison camp because he did not believe that he should be in prison for having marijuana, okay? And so they take him back to court, go to court again, and then he gets another 5 years. So this guy, Neck, comes in with a 2-year sentence and ends up with almost a 7-year sentence. Right, so you
haven't shared the bulk of the story with me, but you shared a piece with me before that I think is impactful. Like, so he was in prison, and he's there, and he's saying, "Man, I can't be locked up. They can't put me away for this. This is a crime."
Yeah.
And what did you tell him?
I said, he kept saying, "Man, they can't lock me up. They can't put me in prison." I'm like, dude, we're sitting in a prison right now while we're talking.
You're here.
Yeah, you're here. Look around you.
Bro.
Look at the guards around you. We're in a prison cell here talking to each other, and you're telling me we're not they can't put you in a prison, And so this guy was living in denial, guys, in denial. Okay? Denial is not just a river in Egypt, man. It's a state of mind, okay? And so what happened was he was in denial, and he ended up with 5 more years. Just like this idiot, Virgil Griffith, right? He doesn't realize the U.S. put sanctions on North Korea, and he thinks he can just go in there and let me show you how to overcome their sanctions and evade their sanctions. And he doesn't realize he is breaking the law. He doesn't realize because he's living in fantasy land. He's not living reality. That's why I'm making this video, guys. And you guys have seen me make videos before about trading and investing in crypto. Are you living in reality? Are you looking at that project in reality? Like some people say, oh man, this project is great, this coin is great and everything, and there's like 2 engineers working on it, or maybe there's 100 people in their community, okay?
And
meanwhile,
it's delisted from every exchange.
Yeah, meanwhile, there's coins like Tezos that's got thousands of people in their community. And then with the most money in crypto land, with $650 million to develop their software, and people are sitting there going, "Oh, that's not worth it, or there's no value in that, or it's too risky, or whatever." I'm like, wait a minute, You got a community over here 10,000 times bigger than your community and way more money, and you're telling me it's not worth it? Like, what the hell's wrong with you, right? So I'm making this video, guys, just to remind you guys that please, please, please live in reality. Like, you know, I talk to people, the Bitcoin Core maximalist retards, you know, that are telling me that, oh, you know, Bitcoin Core is supposed to be a store of value. And I'm like, the fucking white paper says peer-to-peer electronic cash. Like,
so that every other crypto and every blockchain is going to fail.
Yeah.
Except for Bitcoin.
Yeah, and this other thing that, you know, like, oh, all the altcoins are going to fail. There's only going to be Bitcoin. Like, are you that stupid? That's like saying when the internet first came out that, hey, only Yahoo.com is going to succeed and everything else is going to fail. That's like going down this, you know, Ho Chi Minh City here and saying, hey, you know, all these businesses are going to fail except for this one. These guys, they don't
only Toyota.
Yeah, they live in fantasy land, guys. They don't live in reality. And, you know, our strongest recommendation is that you look at the projects for reality and stop thinking and living in fantasy land, guys. I mean, the examples we share with you about the Bitcoin Core retard maximalist and this guy Virgil Griffith, like, to think that he was going to get away. Do you guys realize that when the U.S. imposes sanctions on another country, whether we like it or not, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, or whether Eric likes it or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the U.S. government has imposed these sanctions, and anything that you do to oppose them, to go against that, like, if you're a U.S. citizen and you don't like that, well, then renounce your citizenship, move to another country before you open your mouth or do take action to counter.
Otherwise, it's in direct opposition to the U.S. government. Why would, you know?
Yeah, like some people say, oh, you know, sanctions are an act of war. Like, I think Roger Ver said that sanctions are an act of war.
Yeah, and they can be construed that way, yeah. Even though they're a system of various types of economic penalties to, like a carrot and stick type thing when you're dealing with different relationships.
And check this out, guys. If you believe what Roger Ver says and consider sanctions as an act of war, well, then you know that if U.S. imposes sanctions on North Korea and you consider that an act of war, well, then you know that if they're in an economic war, anything that you do to help the enemy, you are liable for treason. You are liable for you're not just breaking the law, you are helping the enemy of your country. All right? So think about this, guys.
You're working against your own people.
Exactly. And to me, like, these guys, they do this stuff and they don't even realize that they're breaking the law. They're violating, like, serious laws in America. Like, to me, you know, when I broke the drug laws in America, you know, that's a pretty violent, I mean, pretty a troublesome, what do you call that, event already. But even that, I don't think is worse than helping the enemy of the country that I'm living in.
Now,
you know what I'm saying? Like
there's a lot of folks in California and Austin, my state, that listen. There may be a lot of ideas that, hey, you know what? All the people of the world, just the average person on the street, wants peace, wants community, wants to get along together. Yeah, sure, but there's a global economy going on here. There's a global place where everybody's got different opinions, different views, different relationships, and different ways to deal with that. And we, unfortunately, as political countries, we don't always see eye to eye, and we don't always get along, and we don't always work things out. So that's why these things happen. So to go against that when the U.S. government, with all of its military power,
guys, that's just,
it's just silly.
Whether you can believe whatever you want, you can, like, you know, you can believe that the sanctions are wrong, it's unfair, it's unjust. You can believe all that stuff, guys. But whatever you believe in, don't go and take actions that violate, you know, the laws, you know, of your country, right? Or go help the enemies states of your country. And you may not consider North Korea an enemy. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't consider any country an enemy of any country, but I'm not going to go out of my way and go, oh, you know what? If I live in Vietnam and Vietnam says, hey, they don't like country XYZ, I'm not going to go out of my way to go help country XYZ
in direct opposition to his country.
Yeah, to hurt the country that I'm living in. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if I'm from Vietnam and I go live in America and I'm against the Vietnam War, like I would not be stupid enough to go do something to help my country, you know, do something damaging to America while I'm living in America. I might voice my opinion, I might go to rallies, I might go to the protests and say I don't like the war and everything, right?
But freedom of speech is not the same as freedom of treason.
Exactly. You don't get to go and do what's called sedition or treason or any of those things against the country that you're living in and expect not to get prosecuted for that, guys, or thrown in jail or thrown in prison for it. Please don't do that, guys. Okay, live in reality. Do not live in fantasy land. Okay. Now, also one last thing too, before we wrap it up. Some people ask, is this going to affect the price of Ethereum? I don't believe so. That has nothing to do with Ethereum. Is really big network. One individual, one guy is not going to affect. One guy getting arrested for helping another country evade U.S. sanctions is not going to. To me, there's no like correlation to that. Okay. So if you guys are wondering that, that's what my response is. Thanks for watching this video, guys. And if you want to see how the reality of how to look at the world of crypto with reality-based eyes and not fantasy land eyes, okay, go to www.cryptocurrency.market/blueprint and get you a copy of the blueprint today. And also be sure to go to www.cryptocurrency.market/newsletter and subscribe to our newsletter. Follow me on Twitter at HeyTaiZen, and I'll see you guys in the future video. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right.